Hello and welcome to the Rocket League. Sorry, distracted. Welcome to the RL-Detox stream. I'm the expert layman. Going to be doing something a little more casual, literally. Okay, trying to figure out what's happening. Sorry. You would think a TV set at 0 volume would not be making any noise, but apparently I was mistaken. Just the screen I test the stream on. Yeah, going to be doing something a little more casual, which is basically how to get the most out of your casual experience and how to keep from being exploited. This is going to be controversial, mainly because there's this kind of idea that you know, I can do this while I'm playing. That regardless of your teammates' conduct, only a bad person leaves a game before it's done. Kind of see the problem there. That if there's people out there that part of their identity is that they don't leave games, there's going to be people out there to exploit that fact. And I'm going to say, it's casual. If you're having a bad experience, you should probably leave. Because you're in casual to either have fun or, you know, work on stuff you wouldn't attempt in ranked play. So if someone is undermining whatever goals you're in there for, then you probably shouldn't be in that game. But deciding when you're going to leave is where the ethics come in. Because someone, like a lot of people will come in and just go super hard. Like basically they're rolling the dice. They're like, I'm going to go in, try to do something awesome so that, you know, and then when that doesn't happen, they just leave because it doesn't support the identity they have, or they want to present to other people. So if they can't do the thing that they want to do, they'll just leave. So I guess it depends a lot on your motivations. I'm just in here to have fun and like work on stuff. But being able to spot the toxic people early is critical. Crossing over the double line there at the beginning is a little dubious, but I think it might be better if I just deal with stuff as it comes up. One thing I will say is not everybody who says I got it is going to be toxic, but there is a very strong correlation. And there is one time where you may as well just leave. And like very few things, as I was trying to predict, you know, who's toxic, very few things are as strong an indicator as someone saying, the late I got it on kickoff. That's like a 90% correlation with toxicity. Like, if they wait to say I got it until like right before the kickoff or after it's already started, they are basically trying to farm some outrage. So that when they say I got it and the other person's already committed and then they both go, they're going to be like, oh my god, you're chasing. And it's just like, it's basically a harbinger of a one-sided toxic escalation. So I basically have a three... Ooh. Basically have a 2 or 3 strike system. Basically 2 strikes in the first 30 seconds or 3 strikes in the first minute. And I'm going to try to go through those. Hopefully I can address them as they come up and not just... I don't like just giving lists. I like examples. And I like examples in the moment. Looks like everybody's pretty chill here. I like to try to make people own goal. It's amazing how often you get that to happen. Oh, that's... Normally I'd be saying like what to save and stuff, but I just don't have the resources. Oops. Oh. A little chasey on their side, but our side seems to be good. That's like one of the biggest black truths in Rocket League, and I'm about to say something really, really unpopular. Probably get the video ratioed. But a black truth in Rocket League is most of the opportunities that allowed you to score your goals were provided by people on the other team sabotaging each other. Not something I didn't want to accept it. As I got deeper in, I'm like, oh, there's so many people that think like you don't have to generate opportunities; they just fall out of the sky, and they're not wrong, but that's why it's like you can be with the team and it seems like you're doing really good and murdering everybody, and all of a sudden it's just like it's just not working. Suddenly, like you just can't seem to. No opportunities are coming up. And that's because you've been playing teams where somebody on that team is basically, they've gone sabotaging their team because they're unhappy about something. And I've covered a lot of this in the other videos, so I don't want to like go down the list of like crypto-toxic maneuvers. If I see something, I'll talk about it. But in the first like 30 minutes of my first detox stream, I go through all of them. Oops. These guys are pretty cool, actually. I mean, I've sensed nothing. But my point is, like, if the way people like toxic play, the way they do it, like, it's really hard to notice, especially if you're not also a toxic player, because they seem to recognize their own a little bit easier, which I suppose puts me on that list, but I like to think I'm in a special category. Everybody does. And when you're basically, somebody's basically parasitizing you, basically exploiting you, even if you don't understand what they're doing, you'll feel the effects. And it'll start upsetting you. The problem is it's really, really difficult to tell the difference between, like, being unhappy because of your own performance or because one of your teammates is, you know, has developed all these subtle ways to undermine your teammates. And it gets even more complicated because the crypto-toxic strategies that people basically subconsciously develop usually take the form of making it look like an accident that just happens, just a series of oopsies that all go in the same direction. They all have the effect of, like, screwing over their teammates, and that happens sometimes. And I think since there's so many toxic players out there, that if you screw up in a way that screws over your teammates, and you're not willing to say, like, my bad, or sorry, or whoops, or something, you're not making any effort to distinguish yourself between, to make it clear the difference between you and somebody being toxic. I don't know, I think it's your obligation to, like, make that distinction, but maybe that's just me. But the biggest point I want to drive home is you need to leave if you're getting upset. Now, you don't actually need to make the distinction between whether it's because you're playing bad or whether you're being sabotaged, because when you're frustrated and annoyed, you don't learn well. And if you're in casual to, like, work on stuff and get better, you're undermining that goal. See then? The other problem is if you get drawn into this kind of crypto-toxic play, my last stream, nested games in the Omega Wolf. If you allow yourself to be drawn into the toxic play, you're not getting better at Rocket League, per se. You're getting better at this kind of like nested game of competing with your teammates to try to make sure they look. Alrighty then. Oh, seriously, an update came through in my stream. Well, tell you what, I'm just gonna throw the intro up again while I restart. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. That was unfortunate. Seriously? Well, thank you, Epic Games. Yeah, I suppose I could just talk a little bit. You know what I can do? I can go find the somewhere. I want to make sure I get it right. I want to go through the crypto-toxic maneuvers, but I don't seem to be able to find what I'm looking for. Oh, that was probably not the right thing, but I'll be right there. It's not my fault. Hey, there we go. Okay. The things to watch for. I already said, you know, mostly you want to leave it up to your own judgment, but if you're looking for some objective criteria, some of the things are rotation manipulation. Basically, people falling back, you know, slots in the rotation because they don't want to have to challenge a shot from a really weak position, so they'll kind of like veer off and get a boost, or just kind of hang in midfield a little bit longer than needed, or just kind of drag their heels on the way back so that somebody else can take that bullet and then they will be in a better spot. And obviously the inverse of, you know, falling back is jumping order. You know, otherwise known as ball chasing. So the server won't let me on without the updated version, but Steam doesn't seem to have an updated version for me. Well, I'm not blaming Steam for this. I'm almost certain this is Psionic's Epic. The other thing that you watch for is faking teammates. Now, I kind of mentioned chaser baiting sort of before, and that is basically like, say there's a shot on goal and like, you know, it doesn't go in, but it's kind of like in front of the goal without a whole lot of momentum. And then rather than just try to clear it out to the sides or just clear it in general, someone decides, I'm going to dribble this and I'm going to dribble it across the front of the goal. And if any of my teammates decide they have a problem with this and they want to like take it upon themselves to clear it, I'm going to call them a ball chaser. And then, well, they're being toxic, so now I can be toxic. You know, you got to watch for the people like trying to justify toxicity. And it happens in a number of ways. Like the early I got it is the most stark example. That one comes up a lot. Try to restart Rocket League here again. See if the update, they're not letting me play. I can't play because there's no update. They won't let you into matchmaking unless you're updated, but there's no update available. And it just launched again without an update. So, good job, Psionics. And you'll see this a lot too, where somebody will like, faking your teammates is bad too, because you construct a lot of your unbelievable. It's actually kind of funny. This is the kind of thing just doesn't come up that often, although it's been coming up more often. Another one, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, is like avoiding the key. This isn't so much a toxic maneuver, it's more of a sign of someone being toxic, because if they're trying to stay out of the key, they're subconsciously defending against the tactics they're using. So you don't need to see the tactics necessarily. You just see kind of them projecting their behavior onto other people, because everybody wears that white hat. So if somebody's doing something, on some level, they're either completely oblivious to what they're doing, or they're assuming that other people are doing it too. So, it's okay. So if they assume other people are doing it too, they're going to start defending against the stuff, even if nobody's doing it. Scorched Earth is a bad one. And I've actually been thinking lately about putting a flowchart together, which, well outside my my expertise. Hey, there's an update finally. Boy, would have been nice if they'd have put that through before, taking the servers down. But, whatever. What the hell? That is a... big is this update? I have gigabit internet and it's going to take like a minute. I wonder if I can show my... No, I don't want to make people angry at my internet. So yeah, when they're avoiding the key, that's a really, really bad sign. It's almost worth bailing just when you see that, because it's just a harbinger of things to come. And Scorched Earth is basically where somebody, as soon as they get possession of the ball, the only way it ends is with them turning it over to the other team, them passing to themselves, or them scoring. These are their only options. When somebody's basically a Scorched Earth Sabo, all passes are accidental. And to be honest, that sounds pretty bad, but it actually gets worse. Because if they're playing Scorched Earth style, and they still aren't beating their teammates or pushing one of their teammates down, they'll often start basically passing, clearing, and centering for the other team. Although this thing does happen. This is the one that's really subtle. Like that, you're on defense and your teammate's near the wall and he hits it and he centers it. Like when I do that, I feel freaking terrible. And I'll usually say my bad, or, wow, my bad, or something. I hate it when that happens to me, and I feel like I have a responsibility to distinguish myself from the toxic people. So it's really important to own it when you do something that puts your teammates in a weakened position, and pragmatically, not just morally, because if they have any toxic proclivities, you're going to open those up. Yeah, basically turning your clears into centers, passing to the other team, just bailing on your shots. And like in the 50-50s is where a lot of it hides. Like, because it's so hard to tell across, the map in a 50-50, that some guy literally aimed it at his own goal. But if they keep doing it, the phrase I said was, if someone keeps 90-10ing 50-50s at their own goal, it's not an accident. But like, if someone keeps saying, oh, I messed up, it's like, well, how come every time you mess up, it never makes you look bad, it just makes your teammates look bad. What an odd correlation there, like, almost 100%. And of course, people own goaling is obvious. Like, somebody own goals, just get the hell out. It's just not worth sticking around. And you're not going to beat them. You're not going to be like, oh, he's going to show that I'm bad. Well, I'll just show how bad he is. Because they've won already. they've drawn you into the toxic play. Because toxicity is like, it's like something out of a zombie movie or something where, you know, they go around and like bite people, or like rabies. You know, rabies actually changes the way, you know, an animal's brain works and makes them more aggressive. And the foaming at the mouth, yeah, that's disturbing and stuff, but that's literally the rabies trying to be maximally infectious to anything the infected animal bites. And it's actually a fairly good analogy for Rocket League, because there's so many people that previously I would have thought were completely toxic. But, sorry, I was just checking. But, you know, you float them a few sweet passes, and you own some screw-ups, and they're like back into a cooperative game. They were just in a game with a freaking asshole, and now they're just angry, and they don't understand, you know, exactly, you know, what's going on. Wow. I'm glad I have a download speed of 120 megabytes a second, and Psionics is using like 8 of those. Oh. Well, I thought this was going to be, it said like 2 minutes, and then like my speed dropped. This is the other reason why you release it. You release the update before you take down the servers, because now you have like, you know, tens of thousands of people lined up to download the same thing at the same time. 1 megabyte a second. Good job, Psionics. Well, let me see if I can display this. On the fly, not great. Now I'd like to apologize for the stream, but this one's on Psionics. Yeah. Little bit ridiculous. I'm contemplating canceling it, but it's like they keep like making it, it'll speed up and then slow down, then speed up and then slow down. You know what, I think it won't even let me launch the game right now. Was there anything I missed on the... Well, I mean, and then there's the general low effort, which isn't really a big deal in casual. A lot of people there are just working on stuff. Or they're just in there to, like, you know, have a little fun. But the boost suppression is dicey. Because, yeah, it's a way to suppress your teammates, but it's not necessarily toxic. Some people just might not be very efficient with their boost and not realize that if they're just like, you know, using their boost to get from one boost to another, it may not have occurred to them that, like, that's not a strategy everybody can use. And when, you know, as long as they're playing with people that aren't doing that, hey, there's no problem. But if they run into somebody else who plays like they do, suddenly there's no boost. And people can start getting upset. Hey, come on. Yeah, installing installing updates on a live stream. Is there anything more fascinating than that? I'm just not ready to give up this stream yet. What are other warning signs? Oh, the strike system. If somebody does, you know, something that I would consider to be like a crypto toxic maneuver, or just, you know, basically being a jackass, like, if you get 2 within the first minute, just bail. Just go. Oh, the thing I could talk about is, as I was trying to, like, create a better experience for myself by avoiding the toxic people, there was this weird side benefit of my unranked MMR just kept going up and up and up. I'm not hunting for... I basically grazed 2,000. which I have no I have no business being in a bracket where I'm playing with mostly grand champions. That's and I kind of felt bad. I basically had to go to a utility role of just trying to help my team, which is kind of my preferred role in a way. Like, my precision isn't that great, but my psychological prediction is freaking awesome. And knowing what the other team is going to do and what your team is likely to do allows you to create a lot of opportunities for your teammates. And I don't really care if they know that's what I'm doing, but it just didn't feel fair being up that high. And I think they've changed like the MMR allocation, or how they allocate it, because it used to be like, if you left the game in the first 30 seconds, you wouldn't take a hit of any kind. Maybe you'd lose 1 point, regardless of what else is going on. But it seems to have front-loaded it a little bit more, but obviously they can't completely front-load it, and like, if otherwise people would just go in, own goal once, leave the game, and in like an hour you could like smurf like your account like ridiculously. So obviously they can't do that, but it seems to be a little different, and I haven't really been paying attention to it that much. And to be honest, part of the reason that I keep YouTube on the end of my name is as an MMR suppressor. Because if you avoid the toxic people, your MMR just goes up. And how is this thing still going? Come on. Seriously. But one good thing about, avoiding the toxic players and getting... There we go. One good thing is you get access to better players. Not less toxic players, just better players. Oh, there's the phenomenon of the toxic smurf. And they're out there. And what they do is they just kind of like play way below their level. And until like they can find somebody to get into conflict with. And then they like actually use their full skill so that they can, it's basically, it'd be like going down to the nursing home for pickup games of basketball. It's kind of a really pathetic thing to do, but it's out there. So, do I get to play again? That would be awesome. Well, a good chance of finding some... Well, how can there be 130,000 people online? I'm queued for 3s and there's only 1,000 people. And why they gotta do their update like right in the middle of the freaking day? Like at, right at noon, Things are not going well in the world of Rocket League, at least the people running it. I feel I owe you all some entertainment, so I will do some 4v1 with bots. This goes sideways so easily. You guys should have something to look at. And you know what? This is actually, playing 4v1 with bots will really tighten up your defense. Because like every mistake, and they're just... And these bastards will like freaking demo you. Bump you out of the way, demo you. There's always somebody in your face. One nice thing about that helps you with the bots, they don't really... They won't do anything with the ball unless it's like close enough to the ground. But this actually really helped me to go in and do some 4v1 with bots. Because it kind of like takes away... There's no toxic element, You're the only human there. If there's toxicity happening, I got some bad news for you. I've never actually put, like, that I'm live while I'm playing. You see that? He felt bad. He accidentally centered it, and he felt bad, and he said, whoops, because that's what you do. That's so awesome that he gave me an example, like, right off the bat. God, that was fortuitous. I had a feeling he was going to prioritize the boost over the ball. Most people do. But I guess the point I want to drive home is don't be afraid to leave. If you feel like you're being exploited, or even if you're just playing badly, continuing to play while you're playing badly, you're basically training yourself to play badly. Oh my god. And the casual is where you can try weird stuff. So, you know, people screwing up, like, if I didn't know better. Well, a lot of centering passes going on, although I don't think particularly toxic. Oh, the other thing I wanted to do is define the difference between a game, a match, and a lobby. At least the way I see it. A game is where you have two teams that are roughly equally matched, and both sides have, like, you know, a reasonable chance of winning. Some you know, distinct chance of, you know, coming out of the game victorious. That's a game. A match is kind of like a limited version of a game where, like, one side is definitely going to win. Like, there's not, you know, they've either run it up or they're just clearly so much better than the other team that it's not going to happen. Or it could be evenly matched teams, but, like, somebody had bots and the other team ran up the score while they were dunking on bots. And now, even though you're evenly matched, you're not going to win. It's just you're too far down without enough time left. But that's still a match. And in games and matches, you can have fun and you can improve. And then there's the lobby, which I'll widen the definition of, rather than just the place where there's no game going on and people can just kind of like practice. If someone in the game, and I'll apply this to rank too. Great pass on my part. If someone is just like in either own goaling or just being so toxic, like when you realize that somebody just basically isn't going to let your team win because they're being salty, they've turned it into a lobby. And you may as well act accordingly and just do whatever is fun for you. If you can't leave. If you can leave, just freaking bail. But like if it... But that was a good save. But there are times where I'm just not in the mood for anything but a game. And it's like, if you queue into a freaking casual game, casual match, and you're already down by like 5 points, like if you're happy with the lobby, hey, nothing wrong with that. But if you came because you want to have an actual, you know, game where both sides have a chance to win, nothing wrong with leaving. There's just kind of like moral thing where like you should never leave a game no matter what. Which seems silly. And mostly it's said by people who don't queue with randoms. It's usually the people who mostly play on teams and they get mad that the randos are leaving. And it's really hard to see, really hard to notice the toxic play if it's not happening on your team. And nobody wants to believe that like they're winning because somebody on the other team is helping them. It's not something people want to think about. So when somebody leaves on the other team, it's really easy to get all high and mighty and say, oh my god, why do people keep leaving? I hate it when people leave. That's bull. It's like, well, it depends on how they're being treated by their team. Like, if somebody's like basically screwing their teammates by being selfish, and those teammates don't want to play with that jackass anymore, they should leave. And they shouldn't be judged for doing so. Like, you should have a word. You should have to deal with that toxicity so that I can have a fun game where opportunities keep falling in my lap. Thing is, it's not a moral choice that I vastly prefer cooperative play. It's that the things I want to work on, the things I want to get better at, I need... They only work when, like... Terrible analogy, please forgive me. It's like a triangular casket when you're on threes, and each of you has a corner. And if somebody isn't going to hold up their corner, it just gets increasingly difficult to keep the thing going when one person isn't pulling their weight. Or holding up their end of the coffin. Nice. That wasn't toxic. He was literally trying to pass it. It just didn't go all that well. I've also wondered if... I've wondered, since I never put the live thing on, I wonder if people will behave better or worse. I would imagine of both. Like, we'll see more of the extremes. We'll see more people that are just trying to be super nice, and then more people that'll be like super toxic because this is their chance. That sucked for him. I hate that position. Because it almost made him look like he was going boost over ball, but he wasn't. Like, that was an unusual outcome from the other end of the field. If I don't even need to score goals and I'll have fun in the game. Like, if I can do some cool passes and, like, do some cool jukes, like, in the corners and stuff. Get the drop on people. Okay, seriously. Is he just AFK over in the corner? Oh, look at that. You get the, what would you call it? Avoiding getting, there was a term they used to use when Michael Jordan would dunk on people, because, you know, it'd end up on posters. They call it getting posterized. Well, the replay is kind of like a poster. He probably didn't. Okay, that... I don't think that was a pass. Because it looked like he put a lot more into that than he needed to. Yeah, when the first bounce is at mid, that's not a pass. I think he's getting upset that things aren't going well. And 5 minutes is a good length because people can, like, suppress toxicity for several minutes. But usually by the end of a game, they're back to whatever their nature is.
A lovely header.
Yeah, that NK guy is getting a bit see. Look at that. He looked like he was looking for a way to center it there. Oh, don't take my pass. That's always a sign. Like, no, I will do it all on my own. I don't need your help. Oh. Exactly, who is that a pass to in midfield again? That's what it is. The toxicity hides in the vagaries of whoopsies. Now, I'm supposed to be leaving these games, but I just... Basically, I don't want to get my MMR too high. Because then I run into, like toxic smurfs a lot more.
60 seconds left on the clock. Magnificent goal.
I'm gonna finish this one up, but for yourself, like, you know, I'm not. See, the thing is, I'm not being upset by this. I actually just don't get upset by this much anymore at all. But if you're unhappy with the way somebody's conducting themselves, the thing is, part of the reason you get very upset when you're playing with someone toxic is because you're letting yourself be exploited. And you know it on a deep level. And when you do things that make you not like yourself, you'll get frustrated and angry. Not a way to get better. Whoops. That nailed the corner. Woohoo! That N3K guy is like all up in... Oh, that was cool. You're gonna have to make your own determination of, like, at what point someone is acting so selfishly that it's just not worth being in the game with them anymore. And like I said, I'm sorry. And like I said, like, you kind of have to make the determination yourself. Like, if what's happening in the game is upsetting you to the point that it's undermining your goal of either having skill or having fun or improving your skills, like, it's time to go. It's casual. You are allowed to leave. You are not a bad person. Like, a year ago, if I'd have run into, you know, someone, well, maybe a little worse than the N3K guy, it would have really annoyed me. And not liking yourself is a really good way to get frustrated and start acting toxic yourself. So it's better for everybody if you're in a situation where you just feel like you're not being treated. But you're offering, like, respect, well, maybe not respect, but at least courtesies that aren't being reciprocated. Don't respond. It's typically not healthy to try to, like, respond by matching their behavior, because that's what they want. Although, I'll be honest, sometimes I enjoy upsetting those people. Maybe that makes me a little toxic, but trolling toxic people, it's kind of fun sometimes. Especially when you know what they're doing better than they know what they're doing. But yeah. I don't think I could get the ball, but I could at least slow that guy down. Little bump, little bump, little bump. Okay, maybe. So glad that guy missed. The other thing is, try not to be bothered by people making actual mistakes. And the way to tell the easiest way to tell the difference between an actual mistake and something that I would call like a cryptotoxic maneuver, if it makes them look stupid, that wasn't on purpose. If it makes other people look stupid, maybe. So try to be chill when people like get dunked on in goal. Like, try to judge it by, like, you know, were they trying to do the right thing and just failed? Because this whole, like, trying to find the baddie and like, call them out. But then if somebody isn't assuming the role of baddie the way you would like them to, you know, some people will take it upon themselves to fulfill their own prophecy. Oh, that was beautiful. Now, sometimes I use the bottom like card to try to take some energy out of the ball. Figured if I got it high enough, he wouldn't be able to hit it very hard. It's been a pretty fun game. I like when the ball's like up high a lot. Oh. I think I got through just about everything I want to get through. I think I'll finish up this game and call an end to the stream. But I just can't say it enough. You know, if you're having a bad experience in a game, it's okay to leave. Like if you're on a basketball court and you were playing and some guy basically never passed, took horrible shots, and basically whenever this guy touched the ball, it'd become a turnover. Like, and I don't know if you played much basketball, you've seen the type where this is where the ball hog comes from, basically. They won't pass it because they need to be the center of what's going on. And passing the ball just, you know, lets it be about somebody else. Because they have this image of themselves as Michael Jordan or whoever the current equivalent is. And they're trying to act out the role because they think that's what makes things real. But if you pull that crap on a basketball court, people are like, fuck, dude. You could actually confront them. But the kind of anonymity offered by gaming yeah, maybe he didn't need to chase me in on that one. But people tend to turn up the aggression knob as the game gets close to the end and you're tied. And that aggression knob and the toxicity knob, you know, there's a lot of overlap in that Venn diagram. Tried to steal. What a jackass. But yeah, if you tried to act like a toxic player from Rocket... Oh, no, he was getting out of the way. If you try to act like that, like anywhere where you're dealing face-to-face with people, it would go very badly for you because people would call you out, and if you kept doing it, they just wouldn't play with you, and you wouldn't have anybody to play with. That was... could have been. So you're like, well, in real life, you know, the more... you don't just walk away from a game in real life, because that's bad. But in real life, you'd have... you know... the system allows you to correct people who aren't being cooperative or being selfish, or in, you know, Rocket League terms, toxic. You don't have a way of addressing the behaviors properly in an online game. So it's kind of like a category error when it comes to morality. You know, you need a certain amount of accountability for certain moral systems to work. And anonymity inhibits that. I'm not saying there shouldn't be anonymity. We just need to deal with reality on reality's terms. Even if it's a virtual reality. Well, I am going to call this stream. Thank you all for joining me. You have a